What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for joining this really live stream tonight. Again, we're going to call this the live stream late night stock charts. I don't know, I haven't given it an official name yet, but thank you for everyone for joining another fantastic live stream. The market has moved quite a bit today, but we're still in that lovely imaginary box that we talked about periodically through the past couple live streams of some key levels that we really needed to break out of, some really key levels that we needed to look at to potentially drive us higher or lower, and what's the bull and bear case on all these scenarios. So we're going to do a quick little overview of the overall market, and then of course once more people start joining in, things like that, we can go through some of the particular stocks that other folks are looking at, and then again some of the key things that I'm looking at for next week. There's nothing really crazy coming out for earnings next week. Like the earnings season really kicks off the week after. I believe it's with bank stocks like Bank of America. The bank stocks usually always fairly report first with that, so it can kind of give the overall sentiment of things, how it's going. Flippin' Eddie, I'm mad I was late on my Tesla 1K call, Amazon 270 call. Both expired last Friday. Would have been huge. Yeah, that's I'm sorry, man, Eddie. That does happen, especially with options. Those short-term options can you got to get that timing right. Timing is a lot, especially with options, and it's picking the proper expiration dates. It's tough. I've been there. I know I've missed out multiple moves with just buying those shorter dated options. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a gander at the S&P 500. So this is basically at the overall play. Again, the S&P 500 is kind of still in this little box here, this little imaginary box, and see how it trades from this. It's like in this white little box here. We're still not being able to break above and close above the 317 or 315, 316 level, which is an indication to potentially go to higher highs, or try to reach this gap down that we had basically nearly 2 weeks ago, trying to get above the previous high around the 320 plus to kind of see what's happening. Steve-O, what's up, man? Carlos made 140K with Amazon's today's expiration. Wow, congrats, man. That is awesome. That is a fantastic trade. That must be a great feeling, eh? Don't beat yourself up, Steve-O. If you made a little bit of profit, you should be happy, right? You can't hit home runs every week or every month, that to be factored in that. So in the S&P 500, we need to really break out above that 315, 316 level for the bull narrative to continue. The moving averages are fairly nicely stacked for this move to continue higher. But if the bears wanted to come in Monday, particularly probably Tuesday to Wednesday, we could see a slight downtick potentially to the 34. So around the 305 or below. That's again if the bears really come in swinging for us and potentially kind of knock things out, try to scare us with the overall virus numbers and the infection rate on certain states like Florida, Texas, and things like that can really kind of spook the overall market and things like that. So we'll see how that is another time to continue to see if there's potential buying opportunities. So speaking of buying opportunities, I don't know if you guys watched the video that I did about Facebook about basically buying the dip here, where we bought in the dip basically around the 215, 216 price target where it kind of broke here. Yes, the following day it actually did break lower, but we were pretty confident this was holding the 50-day again. The market was so overextended. It was just too much downticks, too much overall pressure to the downside. But then buyers continued coming in, really lifting the price up and really just making a V-shaped bottom here in the short term for Facebook. Again, taking it above the rest of the week to get above the 34 and 21. Kind of failing here, the falling parabolic SAR around the 240, but this was a heck of a trade here. Buying these, selling these puts here and going slightly a little bit long on some stock. That was one of the better trades that I did this week within Facebook. Had anyone else been able to trade Facebook or anything? What up, David? Thanks for joining, man. Steve-O, it went from $3.70 to $140. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, those options can move, right? We talk about it all the time. You just got to understand them a little bit better, and then the timing is just key. No one's perfect on that. I promise you that. You'll get a winner. You'll get a big one. GNUS. I've seen that one kind of run the ropes. Yeah, I've seen this one kind of pop up on a lot of people's radar and things like that. Looking like this is a crazy momentum. What's happening here? I'm not sure what this does, this company, but again, it's had a kind of bounced right off the 50-day here on the daily chart. Really kind of, I wouldn't even call this kind of building a base here, David. And then it kind of popped up higher. The good sign here is that the huge volume came in, but that really helped it again push well above the 21 and 34. We start seeing the 5 and 8 exponential moving average crossing through the 21, and then also through the 34, and then potentially get the ticks to get enough momentum to push the parabolic SAR to below the charts. Or below the ticks. This could be a potentially higher runner. I actually want to look at this as a Fibonacci retracement. Let's do swing high to swing low. Yeah, it needs a lot. So potentially, if it can really get up and going, usually they consider it like a dead cat bounce. This is not a dead cat bounce, but like a potential kind of a 50% retracement. So initially this is very aggressive. I believe it could come up to the nearly $7 limit here if it has all the right signs. Again, momentum has switched. RSI and volume oscillator are trying to peak here, so this is a pretty sign that it could really get running. But again, it's not a penny stock, but it was literally a penny stock less than a couple months ago. It could be a really tough runner for sure. It would be very difficult for me to play this one without a doubt. Oh, you did the same Facebook trade? Nice, man. Yeah, that's a great little recovery. It was a little scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous at times on the Facebook trade on selling some of those puts there and buying some stock. Like, it was a little scary, but it paid off. So sometimes those trades where you're kind of like not sure if it's going to work out, they're usually some really great trades. I purchased 13 Facebook calls, 25 expiring today, last Friday on that big dip, sold on Monday on scary and broke even. Would have been 200%. I know. You can't. The thing is just remember, Eddie, it sounds like you just maybe need to give yourself more time for the overall plan to work out, and maybe just maybe start buying like monthly options at least 30 days out. I know they're not going to move as drastically as the options that's expiring in a week or something like that, but maybe get yourself comfortable with that. I would suggest that. Cartoon Channel is going to be free to children. They will have okay, that's interesting. Show like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Nice. Wow, okay, that's really cool. That's awesome, David. So that's what they're doing. Actually, that's actually super awesome, honestly. That's really cool. Okay, I'll actually add that to my list because it's an interesting story, and I like the sometimes investing and buying into a story can can go quite a far ways. Roku, Lewis, what's up, my friend? Thanks for joining. Let's see here. Oh, Fish made it. What's up, man? Yeah, we'll do Beyond Meat as well, Brian. We actually bought into that. Let's look at Roku for Lewis. Roku. That's kind of been... yeah, okay. I was like, I knew I drew a box. There it is. So this is just trading still in the box for me, Lewis. So again, we kind of came back down to that 200-day. We kind of talked about this, that this was a pretty substantial hold here for us at the 200-day. If it broke below that, that could be going to that potential lower around the 105, or even potentially breaking out if it had a lot of momentum onto the downside. But now this has just kind of been still in this box as well with like the S&P 500. It's really just trading sideways. It needs to prove itself to kind of break above the 134 to the 135 level to potentially grind higher. The parabolic SR has also switched. We had some really strong days the last 2 or 3 days here, so that's a great sign as well. And that 200-day really kind of came in to kind of give it a kick in the butt for a potential. Again, that kick higher was really great. Momentum's nothing to really write home about. Same with the volume. The volume oscillator and RSI are kind of flat. The volume oscillator is kind of going up. On the weekly side, this kind of just, I want to look at this on a longer term actually for some reason. I want to do this right here. It didn't click. Yeah, so it's really failing at it's not really breaking or not closing above the 131 level on the Fibonacci retracements. So this is a key indication for this has just kind of been a really, let's go back to the daily. It kind of paints a better picture. It hasn't really broken above this line here. Even on the way down, it kind of held it for support, but then kind of just continued to break through that. So this is a very interesting line between that and the 38.2% retracement. Is basically kind of outlines the box that we're looking at here. So for me, unless you wanted to play it to the long or short side, you would get some of these options around these time frames to kind of give it some time to work out, or you can just do an iron condor if you have the cojones and understanding to do that, of just buying the legs around these the boxes here. This really probably has a lot of premium in it, honestly. Did you get the TTM squeeze from Lightning Trades? I learned about the squeeze from John Carter, who created the squeeze from a forum, and then I joined his forum years ago on Simpler Trading, many years ago. And it's like his developed thing that he worked with Thinkorswim to develop it for them. Fish, what's up, man, my friend? BYND, let's do some Beyond Meat. So that one was a really interesting one. So this one kind of came down exactly to the 50-day, really kind of rode up and now popping higher. It's not gonna go like, I wish it would have continued going higher and closing above the 21. I'm still again looking for this is a longer term hold. I honestly really believe in the Beyond Meat or the faux meat and plant-based meat products for the future. So I think this is one of the leaders here without a doubt. I do love the Impossible Burger, but they have been gobbled up by Nestle. So that's going to be it's such a small mover, or such a line item on their balance sheet. Rather just play a full-on play within the faux meat market. So for me, it's again, I'm on a longer-term horizon. So potentially I would like to actually see it down lower so I can purchase some more shares. Right now, it's kind of did this little bounce here, gapping up the last 2 or 3 days. This is a really, it's strong, like this is really good. The 50-day has really come in for support. And previously the 21, the 21 previously has really been supportive as well for the overall market here. With the 5 and 8 still below the 21, we could potentially see things trending sideways. The 50 days trying to catch up with the overall moving averages as well, so this could kind of potentially propel it higher, but we really need to maybe take a break here and kind of take trade sideways for a little bit for potential another great news to come out, because again, earnings is basically around the corner, about a month away for these guys, so that could be a pretty large mover there for them. Dave, could you look at OXY 810.55 call at 11.58 today? Are you talking about, Dave? Are you talking about like options volume? Oh, they're debt free. Oh, I love debt free. Can you take a look at Equinix or Amazon? September calls for both. Yeah, so Equinix is an interesting play on the overall the overall market. Like, this thing has just been just a dividend cash cow, and just been a completely full play on the data center services here, and they've been performing so well because again, it's very much the future with everything they do. With the overall downtrend that they had due to the virus, it's kind of really made a V-shaped bottom, and now trading substantially higher, again hitting an all-time high just today, so it's pretty impressive. Again, it's $735 stock. Is this a complete play like an Amazon? No, but they own a lot of data centers throughout the world. They're known for their security, their ease of use. They make a lot of things very much the same. So if you walk into the same data center in XYZ in the West Coast, it looks exactly how the East Coast. And if you go overseas, they kind of mimic the same floor plan. It's a great stock. I love it. It's hard to buy at all-time highs. You can kind of see here it's kind of been trading around a range here, potentially even nibble around the 34-day simple moving average, or exponential moving average, and around the 50-day simple moving average there. Shane, we just did Roku. Roku is kind of trending in a range between like the 133 to like the 105 level, and we just kind of needed to break out between those levels. We can look at Amazon. Lewis, where did you learn about the graphs? Lewis, I learned a lot of the stuff by just watching videos, YouTube videos, and I did take some formal classes. Like I did I don't even know at this point what it was called. I'm trying to, brain's a little scrambled. Where I did like a live in-person seminar over a weekend, but that was many years ago. It was just me adapting over the years, and honestly, back in the beginning of everything, where I just signed up and just tried to follow, aka the gurus, to mimic on what they're doing. But I'm not saying that's a lost cause, but it's super difficult, because when people ask me how I trade, it's very personal to what I do, and it's hard for me to explain on how I do things. So I just try to make it very simplistic, and I'm not here trying to buy a course or things like that. I just want to give people the tools, and maybe that little aha moment of like, hey, maybe I could do this, and I can figure out a way on just creating income for myself on a monthly basis, just selling puts or things like that. Just kind of get those wheels turning in the head, to kind of look at the different sides of what options or trading can do for an individual. For books, there's so many books out there. I have to kind of recommend John Carter's book. It's called Mastering the Trade. I think it's on the third innovation, or not renovation, third version now. And then for videos, it's just going to be what you're entailed to. Like if you're day trading, you want to start looking for some indications and momentums there, and just kind of watch videos, see what other people are doing, and if it's something that it clicks in your brain, or you try it out, or it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? Fish, I have a options play for Monday. Cat, 160 call, 816 expression for 30 cents. I think they'll make her talk about pressure sooner with stimulus. With cat, that's the caterpillar. You're buying the 160, sorry. You're buying the 160 call. Really? That's really far out there. That's not even on my chart here. That's way up here. For August 21st. Okay, so I'm not saying it can't happen, and I think depending on what delta that is, it's going to have to really move. I'm pretty sure that delta is going to be well below like the 10 limit. It's 21st, 160, and what am I doing? The 160 is, yeah, it's a 5 delta, so it's the opportunity for you to get in the money is very unlikely unless they really just something that I don't know. I normally don't. I understand that the reason it's so cheap is because the likelihood of this being even in or around in the money is just so unlikely. But again, anything can happen. I'm not going to tell you yes, no, maybe so. I just wouldn't want to play that. This is a little bit too far out. If you wanted to be a little bit more like that, I would. If you want to buy out of the money calls, I don't recommend it. If you're playing just straight calls, you want to kind of get into the money or even at the money to kind of give yourself the best chance to succeed there. David J., what do you think about the potential upside for Amazon Monday? I think Amazon is just a wonderful company, honestly, on the sense of the stock. I'm not saying that they're the best run company in the sense of treating the people right and being polite and whatever other good Samaritans to the world. But 3,000 is in its crosshairs, without a doubt. This thing has been performing so well throughout this whole virus. It's just been killing it. Really just holding that 21, which is this yellow line here, all the way up for ever since its previous quarter. Even that quarter we had there, we just had a huge run up. Then they said they spent like $1 billion on virus PPE equipment to training employees to getting all the necessary stuff to convert things like that. The stock dropped again, not really closing below 21, and then just continued to grind higher from there. Again, earnings for them is coming out as well soon, as well within the next 3 weeks. Potentially could get another run up into earnings to see how that goes. Scotty D, we can do some Wells. Let's see here. Oh, my thing just went. Wells Fargo. So the banks, yeah. So they're reporting basically in 2 weeks. So they are going to be somewhat under the spotlight again because banks are usually the first to report into earnings season. So they kind of are the early spotlight potentially of how other earnings can play out. Because again, everyone kind of needs to use a bank and they have a lot of data from the consumer, businesses, and the overall health of the economy. So that being said, with Wells Fargo, they're kind of not looking pretty. So the momentum's still red here. The 5 and 8 are well below the 21. Same, the 21 just crossed to the 34. Excuse me, drinking water. It's just a lot of negativity going on here with this stock, in the sense of just a lot of downward pressure. The overall potential kind of building a base here, I would call, for the last 3 or 4 days. I would like to see a couple more days. Since earnings is basically around the corner, it's going to be kind of a coin flip for me, so I wouldn't want to nibble on this at all, and I would never want to hold options into this unless like straight calls or puts, because things can get really ugly there really fast. So something that I would be very mindful of and being careful with this one. We really want to see this kind of have the 5 and 8 start really just kind of getting more leveled off here, since they're kind of still curling down. We want to see this TTM squeeze to kind of start printing more yellow bars on the daily chart to see how that goes. Daniel, you're welcome for those streams, man. Thank you for joining. What about the real meat TSM? Is that Tyson's? So Tyson's is something we actually shorted ways back. I believe it was before this earnings that we shorted it here. It's in the trading pattern. Like you can pretty much see it here. It's well below 200-day. It's kind of honestly looking like it's trading almost like the Wells Fargo we're looking at here, with the 21 crossing the 34, and hasn't been able to get above the 8 on the daily chart. So that being said as well, we really need to see those TTM squeeze start printing yellow, the volume oscillator start getting above positive territory. RSI is basically just in standard mode, nothing to really report there. On the weekly side, this thing has just been really beaten up. The parabolic SARs, if it does start crashing, is around 50. Again, that's on the weekly side. We do have a first sign of a squeeze setting up, but this thing really needs to print higher in the sense of trying to break above the $64 level. It has tried before in the last couple weeks, but it really hasn't been able to keep that momentum going to drive that price higher to get above water there. So not a really huge fan here of this one, so potentially just be careful out on that one. What about SHLL? Well, yeah, I didn't even look at what they did today. Yeah, this one is, again, that's the momentum driven just here. This is just it's been holding the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and for the very short to intermediate term, this could continue just holding this pattern, just slowly grinding higher until people just don't care anymore. Mr. Bear, Uber as a short. Yeah, I haven't looked at Uber actually in a while. Let's go ahead and look at that one. So, I'm trying to... Like, Uber just has kind of been underwater just in the fact of all the other negative stuff that they're dealing with. God bless them. Again, this is below the 200-day. Hasn't been able to get it really close above the 5 and 8 as well. On the daily chart, we do see the momentum switching. Volume oscillator is trying to get positive, so we could potentially build a base here to try to push above the 200-day. The 50-day hasn't crossed through the 200-day yet. So if you wanted, if I had wanted to short Uber, if it got up to nearly the 32.50 level, that's what I would start indicating a potential short. But if it starts breaking above the 200-day and starts breaking above the 33.50 level, that could be potential switch or trend change. Because you kind of see here, once it kind of gapped down, it's having a lot of problems in around the 200-day here. That's the 200-day exponential moving average on the daily chart. Kind of having trouble there, and then the 21 has kind of been driving it lower. If you want to be aggressive, the 21-day, potentially even the 32.30 level for a short there. Be careful with that one, though. Oh shoot, my chat just updated. Hang on. Ryan, so the volume oscillator basically just tells me on the amount of volume coming into the market on buying to the positive or negative side, and the overall strength of those buyers. Oh, all the puts on the Amazon side. So what was the... Honestly, I don't remember off the top of my head. What was the volume oscillator? So the volume oscillator is actually not that high on basically breaking all-time highs. So it's just basically at 40-ish, 45. So if you start seeing it well above the 60, 70 to potentially even 80, that's usually when things get a little frothy and things can make a really strong downturn. and just kind of start kind of leveling off. So if it starts hitting above like 80 or 60, or sorry, above 75-ish, you could potentially get a slight pullback. Nothing drastic. So so Amazon could pull back to the 8 here to around the 27.83, and everything should be fine. Like, this is just the huge momentum that it's currently had, and the trend is still intact with the 5 and 8 and the 21 as well. Hey, what up, Kelly D? No problem, man. Just glad you made it. UPWK, what's your thoughts? Upwork. This is the contracting, or what is it? Temp workers, right? This is interesting. Yeah, it's actually a really smart play if you're into this, because I guess you're playing that people are losing their jobs and they need to figure out another strategy or try to get in some temp work or some temporary roles, and this is basically to help them do that as like a gig thing. Because again, even previously to the pandemic, it's been below the 200-day. Man, I need some more water. It's been kind of really like under the 200-day even before this, but again, times have clearly changed in the world, and it's kind of breaking above the 200-day and well above it now. You can kind of see here on the TTM squeeze, it kind of did fire along, really had the momentum driving up that between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and kind of coming down potentially if it starts, the RSI is kind of sinking lower. The only thing that's kind of strange here, after even though with the squeeze really took off, the volume oscillator kind of just barely went above positive and then really didn't do anything much. Now it's kind of potentially could be trading sideways here for a little bit, coming down to like the $14 potentially, and then maybe getting another boost higher to see how that plays out. But again, looking at the short-term support around $13 to about $12.84. I got calls at 2:30 and it ripped upwards. Sorry, you guys having a conversation inside here. David, which was puts? Yes. SPLMND. Oh, is that Lemonade? That just came public today, didn't it? I'm not going to be able to give you much information, but the company is interesting because it's a new company that is getting into, I guess, the insurance business. Am I right, SP? Where they are just trying to use more data rather than to help you figure out your insurance costs on houses, right? Is it houses and health insurance? I think it's just houses right now, right? Yeah, it's was like a up 134% or something like that. I saw. I was like, whoa, what in the world? SE, it broke through today. Yeah, that's a nice little cup here and handle on it. Basically just a cup, and then just kind of took off here. Again, it's been really holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average all alongside with the parabolic SAR, kind of just helping drive this higher. That's a hard one to continue to buy. It would even be a hard one for me to hold because this has been just an enormous run here. Really just have to continue seeing kind of between the 5 and 8, even coming down to 108 potentially for the parabolic SARs. So just be mindful that this thing has just been a rocket ship, just grinding higher here. Thoughts on Shan might be good. Low RSI, low flow. Unusual high options on the 8/21/30 call. Chinese wave 2 starting. Chinese conflict trade. I'm not sure what this company even does. Ooh. Okay, this is an overall ETF in China. Okay, I see what this does. Yeah, I don't really want to catch a falling knife. I understand what you're doing and what you're looking at with the overall RSI being so low, and potentially being triggered here. Let's see. Yeah, so on the weekly side, they had a squeeze. It fired lower, and this really been driving it to an all-time low. This doesn't. This is not like a 3x leverage one. Doesn't look like it. Let's see here. Yeah, this is. I can't recommend to buy this because it even gapped lower here today, so it's going to be very difficult to really get the momentum to continue having this kind of grind higher here. Oh, Chris, you've been long Upwork since April 8th. Wow, good for you, man. Yeah, GNUS looks good. I actually add that to my maybe buy list. Thanks to David. I think it was David. Sorry if I called the wrong person. Dave BLMN. I'm not sure what this company does, but it's really trying to get above water here, because again, you see the parabol or the TTM squeeze trying to get from red to yellow. The volume oscillator did kind of fail today. Looking like it really needs to break above this 21, which is exactly $11. So we really need to kind of start seeing the 5 and 8 potentially cross through this to kind of get that momentum to get above that 21 and close above it. Because as of right now, it looks like it wants to trade sideways or even potentially lower if we start seeing some other signs of some positive going forth there. JD, I have NIO call at $9. It's at 9.5 for 5 or 55. Oh, okay. It does do insurance. Okay, thank you, Doe. I think that everyone is getting long-term probably. Then Guns is a great buy. Yeah, I want to look into that more for sure. What did you WKHS? What is that one? WKHS. Oh my gosh, what in the world? Oh, this is, I know what this Workhorse. Yeah. This is the other EV play. Again, this is basically everyone's newfound glory of, that's a great band by the way, newfound love for EV markets, and Tesla's really helping prove this again with Nikola coming online, and currently we actually work on a video that I went short Nikola today and actually did very well in it. Probably will get rid of it, the rest of it coming next week, but anywho. But with the overall market just loving these new EVs and just people embracing this, all these kind of things for just potentially long-term fleets and things like that, this has just been a rocket ship here. I think that this could potentially slowly come down once it kind of goes out of favor. I'm not saying it's going to come crashing down, but it's just going to slowly. There's no sign of it slowing down right now. Just be mindful of that. It's going to be looking between that 5 and 8. It's just been riding up. It just hasn't really closed even below the 5 day. So this is just a super heavy momentum stocks. I just can't honestly touch because it's just a little too. It's not my style to really chase or trade these momentum stocks. I like to get things out that could potentially be breaking out or want to be breaking out to a potential side, up or down. Oh, you had it at $9.50. Nice. That's wow, man. Good trade. Good trade. SP, your thoughts on LIT went up today. I hope it went up for more than one day. What is this? Oh, okay, I know this one. So this one's kind of just been trading sideways. It looks like the squeeze just has fired long. Seeing a lot of overhead resistance around the 84 to 85 level here. Kind of just not something really wants to really break out here. The 200-day is really strong support to the downside. The moving average is just somewhat nicely stacked. The 50 days kind of just thrown in there. But just be mindful, again, it has had some issues around the $84 level previously, so be mindful if it starts breaking close to that. It needs to really close above that and kind of potentially build a base there to kind of be propel itself higher. Been on. Whoa. Let's see. JD NIO call. NIO. Again, another EV. Yeah, so this is one we kind of talked about previously as well with a lot of the other live streams that we've talked about. It's really been holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and now, again, with the overall, everything else has been going on in the market, it really just had a huge gap up due to Tesla and literally just China just really coming back super strong from the pandemic and the virus, and this has just been printing money in the sense of just continue going higher there. With that being said, it's looking like the RSI could potentially hit the overbought, not meaning that that's going to come crashing down, but it's usually a sign of potentially some overhead resistance, but things that doesn't matter honestly in this place anymore. People are just really just going in full throttle into some of these names, so be careful again, because once this momentum kind of stops, this really can kind of come crashing down, but initially starts trading around the 5 and 8 some more there. Yeah, it's very extended for sure. Got long plug this week. You did, Kelly? Yeah, it's a great call there. A very good call there on plug. Again, really caught that momentum between that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and now just continue using these as guidelines. RSI looks like it's potentially going to be hitting red soon, indicating some maybe a potential slowdown or a slight hiccup for, again, then after that it looks like the overall trend is still trying to go up from there. And again, no earnings on the horizon, so that's also a good thing. Christina, BAC. Yeah, so BAC is going to be one of the first stocks to report. So the banks usually report first, and they're usually the leading indication of the overall market and kind of dictates the overall mood of the earnings. So this looks very similar to what Wells Fargo's looked like when we looked at earlier. It's below the 21, well below the 200-day. As earnings coming out, it's kind of still trading south because the 5 and 8 haven't really built a base yet. This is kind of an early stage base, but what I like to see with more of my base is the 5 and 8 start kind of curving and leveling off, and potentially playing more as a parallel to the 200-day with its straight lines. But I wouldn't want to call this a falling knife because we kind of are in that range that we have that gap up. So this could be somewhat of a filling of this area there. But with earnings on the horizon, I wouldn't want to be creating a full position without a doubt. Sunny, thoughts on GIS? I don't know what that is. Oh, General Mills. Okay, I thought they had a different ticker. Yeah, this is a great little play. It looks like they had a really good quarter. This is looking like, I don't like to draw those make believe lines, but I'm going to do it. A kind of a wedges-ish pattern here. Potentially, it's what the tighter it gets into this cave, potentially can pop up to the up or down to the downside. With the squeeze indicating, it looks like it's trying to potentially break above this level here, but it really needs a lot of momentum going here. The volume oscillator is going from negative to positive. Again, the squeeze is really just kind of choppy right now on kind of giving me the indication of where it could go. We start seeing the 5 and 8 cross through the 21, but it might be a little bit too late once that happens. Really need to see it really break above the $62 level to start seeing some more of the positive momentum and giving us probably the most secure symbol or sign that it could pop higher and continue to go higher. Ketchy, can you talk about the TTM squeeze indicator and what it shows? Yeah, I could show you the TTM squeeze indicator. So the TTM squeeze does the Bollinger Bands and the Keltner channels together. Instead of having them on the charts, let me just go to a chart I don't use very much. Let's do this one. So what the TTM squeeze does, it's basically, again, you don't have to have the TTM squeeze on your charts to indicate something is going to happen. It's just something nicer instead of having all the crazy lines, because I already have a couple lines on my screen, so I don't want to do, what's it called? It's like Keltner. Did I do okay, Kel channels, and then Bollinger Bands, and then what I'm going to do here is going to show you the TTM squeeze, apply. So these are the Bollinger Bands, which are in red. The lower is, we're going to make them all red, apply, upper is red as well. And then, just now it looks really messy. Hold on. Keltner channels, we're going to do the lower band as blue, upper band as blue as well, to kind of give us a better definition of what's going on here. So what's going on here on the Bollinger Bands, so we can look at, let's look at, who just said Tesla? I think it will go down, Tesla. Maybe. Let's look at Nike. We can look at Nike with this chart. And this is not a good example. Actually, it is. So Nike, again, so these are the Keltner channels. This is basically the standard deviation of this by default. I think it's the 20-day. Yeah, it's the 20 simple moving average for both of them. I use the 21 for a lot of my standard deviations and things like that. So it depends on what you want to do. So this is usually what the stock is usually trading, and the Bollinger Bands a little bit more extremes to that. So when the squeeze lights up red, it means that the Bollinger Bands have formed into the Keltner channels, indicating a potential pop higher or lower. Normally, you can see this happening right here on the chart. Again, the red lines are inside the blue lines, meaning there's a potential rubber banding effect. There's a potential pop in either direction, and we had that pop higher here. I'm going to see if there's another example. There's a little bit here. Kind of was in here. Where's one? AMD was a good one. Okay, let's do AMD. So AMD has been one these that I thought is going to potentially go to the upsides. Now it's just kind of just trading sideways even some more. So it's been in the squeeze for weeks, literally weeks. Again, that's when the red lines are inside the Keltner channels, the Bollinger Bands are inside the Keltner channels, kind of really tightly in between these movements, very tight range. Again, indicating a potential pop either higher or lower. And then we kind of get that initial pop, which it kind of let the energy get kicked out. Really didn't do very much, kind of potentially got a little bit out of the band and then just dropped back in. So potentially that this could start indicating for some more consolidation for another potential pop as well, but it's going to be significantly higher. So hopefully that was helpful for my friend. So Nike. I think we still own some Nike. So Nike has been kind of a really much of a workhorse again, because everyone's at home. People want to work out. They need their Nike shoes, right? So the 78.6 percentile move has kind of come in somewhat of support here. We're really looking for this kind of consolidating here for a potential kick higher. The 50-day has come down to the extreme levels. Potentially just the 34 or the 21 has kind of been the thoroughbred for the movement there. With the 5 and 8 potentially crossing through the 21 yet, so we could get a potential significant momentum going higher to break above 100 again. But we've kind of been stuck in this pattern here as well with the overall market, and just how everything's been going is in this pretty box here as well. So we need to really break above that 100 level, or if you're in the bear case, you need to see the 5 and 8 kind of get rejected here and start breaking lower here, potentially getting below the 50 simple moving average there. Thoughts on Tesla? So I don't even know what to say to this one. This has just been a complete, really much of a workhorse, and just really just killing it in the sense of just like, wow, like they're just really just performing well and just really just slapping those shorts around. Tesla, huge up move today, huge amount of volume coming in the past 2 days, 3 days. We talked about this. It's kind of been holding that 21 even before this move, and that really had that huge pop. As of right now, it's just so super extended, and I really can't touch that with a 10-foot pole, honestly. I can't even touch that with a 25-foot pole. It's just not reachable right now to try to get into it. Do I want to short this? I don't. I can't have it. I don't have the fortitude to do that. I don't have the guts. And I'm pretty sure that I would just get extremely sick just trying to short this before, because I can give you a story time, and I've shorted Tesla way back when. Actually, I have to go back more than 3 years. Before I was a long-term bull Tesla, I was the negative Nancy, and I shorted it with some straight puts, and I went to the restroom, and I came back, and my options contract was like down $750. I'm like, how did I lose $750 in like 5 minutes? Because Elon came out and was tweeting, or it was announcing it was just when the Model S was coming out, but they were talking about the model what was the one with the Falcon doors, the Model X, and people were really going gangbusters about that. And it just drove the stock substantially higher, and it was a very hard spot. Dow Jones is asking for spot. So I hope Joe Rogan and what was the other person who just signed with them got some stock options, because this has been a super performer for them without a doubt. Again, this is a 100% momentum play here as well. There is data behind it and what they're doing. It's not just a rumor mill on whatever. There actually is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here. They're adding new content. They're trying to break into new media. Potentially rival with not an Instagram, like a YouTube longer form video platform. So people are really getting into that, honestly. With the 5 and 8, really just been strong indications here. It has, once it kind of gets this level, could be potentially trading sideways. Looking here on that was looking at the daily chart. On the daily chart, it's pretty high here on the RSI here, well above the 80 limit where I have mine set. It's a tough one because it's super overextended. It's pretty far away from a lot of the moving averages here, but the squeeze hasn't, or the momentum really hasn't gone the dark blue yet. The volume has been slowly coming off here, but the volume oscillator is still super strong here. So if you're trying to short this, it'd be hard to tell you to do so, but it's really just been holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, continue grinding higher. What are your thoughts on gun stocks? Give me a gun stock ticker and I can give you some analysis on that, my friend. What about Bitcoin? We can look at some Bitcoin. It's been a minute for that one. I have it on my list. I look at it, but it's nothing too intriguing. Looks like Bitcoin could potentially, honestly, just giving you a quick analysis, it's just kind of been the 5 and 8, but it's been trading below the 21 here, and the parabolic SR has just switched to the bottom, so potentially grinding lower to around 85.27. That's where the 200-day kind of has come in before. We look at some support here around the 86.41 level before, but with this parabolic SR switching to the top, this could be kind of giving it some more pressure and just not having a really good time with this one going long. Let's see here. Hey, what's next for gold? Oh, I know So we look at the gold futures. So this has kind of been an indication of, again, the overall old school inverse was if stocks and equities go up, gold should go down, and if gold goes down, the stocks and equities should go up. That old wives' tale or whatever, it's not really true anymore, because again, I think we just live in a really strange new altered universe, and things can just continue going up. But again, I think we all kind of know what that means in the sense of just being folks be able to purchase and buy the Fed, J Powell, buying everything up, really helping us continue really a lot of these moves to continue just going higher. So with gold, looks like it just wants to continue going higher as well. Because looking at the futures here, it's still the 5, 8, 21, 34, 50, and 200-day have been so nicely stacked here. It looks like it just wants to continue going higher here. Looking for some initial support if it starts going around the 1744. Bitcoin can drop lower before it goes up, but again, the initial, what I'm looking at is at the squeeze, so indicating at some guidelines potentially going lower in the short term, yeah. Any thoughts on Nikola, Dow Jones? Yes. So I'm actually going to be doing a video tomorrow regarding my short that I started Nikola. You can thank, who was that? Was that Makeshift? Was that you who did it? Yeah, Makeshift. Oopsies, what happened? I said Nicola's really asking me to short, and he said do it. And already at that point, I actually shorted it 5 minutes after I wanted to do it, honestly. And but it was a very small position in the sense of just buying the $50 puts that are expiring this month on the 17th. And those were trading fairly high, and then took one off basically because the options really just kind of dropped out of nowhere, and I made well over 30% in just a very short period of time on that options. Potentially we'll hold it a little bit longer. I think that we could be seeing potentially the $50 target. That's what I was initially looking for the next coming weeks before we can go higher. Because again, this is kind of lost its momentum, its mojo. Again, I'm not trying to wish any ill will to any company, but this thing hasn't really been performing that well. It's just really just been trading sideways. Even though it's had these new reverse reservations for its new truck, and it's got all this new data coming out. I just think people are maybe just kind of losing touch with the story, and just really kind of asking if this is too good to be true kind of scenario, and just kind of having some more of a sit back and think before I just give my money away to these options or this stock. Again, short to immediate term, I think it can come back down a 50-day, but I think some more buyers can kind of come in and kind of support this to continue going higher. Marcus, can you do Pinterest? Yeah, we can do Pinterest. Oh, shoot. My lord. The lovely chat window just rolled up. So this is a newer IPO, right, Marcus? It kind of came as a newer IPO, I believe, last year. It's kind of getting out of its own way here. Kind of failed here at the 200-day, failed here at the 200-day, kind of broke above the 200-day now. Had a very short squeeze to kind of print higher. I don't even know how this business makes money, to be quite honest. It's a tough one without a doubt. As of right now, it's really just kind of potentially the squeeze has fired. Everything looks strong here, but it's hard for me to buy when it's somewhat so far gapped up and escalated. And the last couple of days, it's been performing really well. If it starts coming down to the 21-day, potentially even the 200-day, there would be a potential nibble there for some longs. Yeah, we kind of did Roku. Roku really is going to try in a really tight range. Apple was actually strange today. Apple is actually down, I believe, right? It was completely flat. But with Apple, it's been really just been holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and just continued trading sideways there as well. With the Apple, again, just being flat today is nothing to go crazy about or short the whole market, but again, Apple is just a very large leader in the overall equity space, and Apple literally can move the market. So we really if you want the bulls to continue to win, we need Apple to really start grinding this 5 and 8 some more and start grinding higher for some potential higher highs above the 375 level there. AM the Allergan. Yeah. Ooh, that's a beautiful looking chart. I can't add anything there. Again, hitting basically all-time highs. I want to do a quick fib here. If it hits the 1272, yeah, hit the 1618. So this is kind of triggering here for a potential trading sideways between the 261 to 250, and then a potential push higher from there if things can continue going higher. That's a hell of a move, though. I hope you're in that one, my friend. Wesley, thanks, man. Thanks for joining. Yeah. I kind of just did this one on just the heels of just kind of give people some more peace of mind of what happened this week, and going forth the 4th of July weekend, on top of still doing the stock market live stream on Sunday, but just kind of giving another alternative for folks who want to join the live streams, but sometimes the Sunday one doesn't really quite work out for their schedule. Wesley, have you done BA? We actually haven't done BA, but let's do BA. So BA has really just kind of been trading sideways here between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average and kind of hovering around the 21 and 34. We kind of want to see this kind of start continuously trading in between the 21 and potentially build a really strong base here for another push higher, because once we want to create this push really needs to get enough momentum to kind of break us above not just the 215 level, but really get us above that 200-day exponential moving average above us. As of right now, this is... Oh, sorry. I'm drinking some more water. Currently positioned fairly well here. Again, this base, longer the base, I don't know what the saying is. It's probably because it says something inappropriate there, but I did it. But with this really just trending sideways again, waiting on that overall confirmation of things to potentially see a higher push. If we can't get the higher push, you start seeing the 5 and 8 really cross through the 21, and the ticks start getting to the 34, and then potentially to the 50-day, could be some downside there. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm getting super tired here. It's 11 o'clock p.m. I've been up since basically 4:30, trading some Russells, Russell and SPY this morning. Yeah, so we can do another, without a doubt, another live stream. We'll have another fantastic live stream for sure on Sunday. That's going to be the one that is, I won't say large, but it's the same size of what's happening here, and we can discuss a lot of the same things for sure. I hope everyone was able to learn something today. I would greatly appreciate if you would hit the like button if you did. I really do really appreciate everyone coming out this late in the day, especially if you're on the East Coast. I'm really far away from being a night owl, and I really do appreciate everyone coming out and supporting and trying to learn trading options and things like that, and asking some really great questions. I hope everyone has a great night. Everyone have a safe and fun 4th of July with your families and friends, if it's through Zoom or whatever. I really do appreciate it, guys. If you have any comments or questions, you can go ahead and just join the Discord, or if you want to support the channel directly, you can join the Patreon page there as well. That's in the description below. But yeah, you can find me on Discord. I try to get to the questions and give you some examples and things like that. But thank you so much, guys. You guys have a wonderful evening. Good night. Don't let the bugs bite. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, guys. Love you. Bye-bye. Peace.